so that was kind of neat. I also have these SnapFresh tools. SnapFresh is a tool brand that I believe exclusively sells on Amazon, and I paid for none of these things. I'm now up to 4 batteries, 2 reciprocating saws, 3 chargers, and this 1/2-inch impact wrench here. Last year, some guy from the company sent me an email saying, hey, we want to send you a reciprocating saw for a video review or something. And I said, sure, here's my address. So they sent it to me. Several months went by, and I eventually did show this off on video very briefly when I was using it to take apart the steel frame on my homemade truck camper. And it did a fine job at that. Vibrates a lot. It's not a very well-made reciprocating saw, but it did the job. Until I turned off the camera, and then it broke. I don't know what broke inside of here, but this thing moves freely. And when I pull the trigger, it's completely locked up. Something is catastrophically wrong inside of here. So it didn't last all that long. So I emailed the guy that sent me the tool and told him that, and they sent me a second one. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but free reciprocating saw. And in addition to this, he also sent me this 1/2-inch impact wrench, which is surprisingly nice. It's brushless. It feels nice to hold. It's fairly light. But the problem with it is it's just so big. Most of the time, it's not that much. So unless you're doing a light-duty task with this thing, I can't really recommend it. Very briefly, my lawn and garden tool selection. I'm sitting on my electric zero-turn mower. I love this thing. I'll make a video about it in the near future. I should say that I love it, but I don't recommend it for everyone.
Is that mold?
This is my little baby push mower over here. It's got a 13-inch wide deck. I got this specifically for mowing the ditches in my front yard. It's so small and light that I can basically lift it in.
That's mold.
Ditches, and it's faster than using a weed eater. Surprisingly, that thing runs on an 18-volt battery, and I get 30 minutes of runtime from just a simple 4-amp-hour 18-volt battery. Pretty impressed at that. I've got all 40-volt tools over here. I've got a leaf blower, my 16-inch chainsaw, and the brushless weed eater, all of which I absolutely love. And I have this bag. Is this a lawn and garden tool? I don't know, but it says Ryobi, so I'm going to count it. Now let's start talking about my expensive tools, starting with the least expensive tool, my mini metal lathe. I bought this thing earlier this year off eBay for a whopping $450. Now this thing is, let's say, dubiously useful. For instance, it's powered by a DC motor. When you slow down the speed on the DC motor, the torque decreases as well. So you have to have this head spinning at a pretty good lick of speed in order for it to actually, do useful things. It doesn't have quite enough rigidity. This thing's quite a little chatterbox, it is. And I thought I was upgrading it with 15 school pedals, but it turns out I was robbing a bunch of useful space from it. So now it's even more limited. That said, I have made some useful parts on it, as you would have seen if you watched my go-kart little project. I don't know if I'd buy this thing again, but I have gotten some use out of it. I have a MIG welder. Don't really have any opinions about it. As you can see, it's an Eastwood MIG 135. The only reason I got this specific welder is because this is the exact one that my dad had. So I had previous experience with it. As a result of me getting the same one as him, this is the only MIG welder that I've ever used. I mean, I like it. I guess that means I don't have any negative opinions about it, so that's good. I always use it with gas and never use it with flux core wire. The common methodology with buying tools is that you should buy tools when you need them for the job that presents itself, but with a MIG welder, that doesn't really apply, because if you buy a MIG welder, you'll invent ways to use it for sure. Air conditioning. I don't know if you classify this as a tool, but regardless, I think this is an absolute necessity if you have any sort of indoor workspace, but depending on your climate, of course. These are Pioneer mini splits, and yes, I do have a previous relationship with the company Pioneer. About 3 years ago, I sent them an email. I was a pretty small YouTuber then, so I was gracious to receive an email back. They sent me 2 of these mini splits for this shop for the price of 1, and I do have an affiliate link down in the description if you want to pick one of these up yourself. I highly recommend them. I picked mini splits because they're super quiet, and they're also reversible heat pumps, so they act as heaters in the winter. But you can make do with any sort of window area.
Okay, I got my chance of having great lunch.
Air conditioning. If you get overheated, you're going to get frustrated. And if you get frustrated, you're going to start developing negative feelings toward whatever hobby you're working on and whatever indoor workspace you have. Get air conditioning. My lift. And here you thought I was the biggest tool in the shop. How silly you must feel. I bought this lift about 5 years ago while I was living at my last house because I moved.
Okay,
I had 13 foot ceilings, and I felt like an opportunity. So I bought
because I'm going to start doing animation soon. So Milton Animation Corporation, Milton Animation Productions, that's what it stands for.
A cement for the lift with a capacity of 10,000 pounds. And you probably want to know how much all this this cost me. Like I said, I bought this thing about 5 years ago, and I seem to remember the price being.
I might remove it, but yeah.
I just looked on Northern Tool's website, and an equivalent version of this lift now sells for just over $3,000. So that price seems about right. That was the price to buy the thing, and if I remember correctly, the shipping was free. I shipped to the store, then I drove to the store with the trailer, and I loaded it on my trailer via forklift, and I brought it home. Then I hired a lift installation company to come out and install it. They had a small crane on the back of their truck where they could lift everything in place. They bolted it to the concrete floor, checked to make sure the concrete floor was thick enough, slid the hydraulics, set the whole thing up and everything. And that whole process...
I don't know, I'll get rid of MPA, I'm not sure. I want to do animations.
I thought that was a pretty good price to pay. But then I hired an electrician to come out and install a single 240-volt outlet to power this thing, and that job set me back $2,400, nearly what I paid for the entire lift. That was the exact moment that I decided to learn how to do basic wiring myself. And if that wasn't bad enough, when the lift install guys came back out to plug in the lift and leave the hydraulics and everything, it tripped the breaker.
No.
Not the breaker for the
Okay, I'll change it back to what it was.
The main breaker for the entire house.
It's easy to do. I can just push a little button, so I'll change it back to what it was.
Electricity to my house. Turns out, not only was the main breaker panel in my house a bit on the old side, but it was under capacity for the new load that I had just added on to it. So on top of the previous electrical bill, I had to hire electricians to come out and replace the main panel in the house, setting me back another $1,100. Again, this was the moment that I decided to learn basic wiring myself.
There, I fixed it.
Way more expensive to install in my scenario than it was to buy the thing initially. But ignoring that, after I moved to this shop, I paid the lift install guys again to move it, disassemble it from the last house, and reassemble it here, and that was only another $800. Again, I thought that was pretty good. So, was it worth it? Well, I thought about this a lot over the past 5 years, because it was not a cheap thing to get, considering how...
Yeah, MAP doesn't sound right. Yeah, Melton Animation Productions doesn't sound right, but yeah. I'll fix it later in a few months, but yeah, I just changed it back to the old name.
Yes, it was totally worth it. Before I had a lift, all I could think about was how much easier these jobs would be if I had...
I'll get back to make guys I can fix something.
I don't think about it at all. I've completely taken it for granted. It is the biggest convenience in my shop. So yeah, absolutely it was worth it. Now, obviously, I'm not recommending that all of you go out and buy a lift. I imagine the vast majority of you have absolutely no place to even think about putting a lift. But there is a suitable alternative also made by Benpack. It's the QuickJack system. 2 little parallelogram things that you roll underneath your car, have hydraulic rams in them, and they go whoop, lift your car 2 feet up off the ground. They can be rolled anywhere. They're only about $1,700. So if you have the means and you work on your cars even a little bit, go out and buy some of those. I'll leave an Amazon link in the description for those. And
That's not a good idea, but maybe later.
StepCraft sent me a CNC router, specifically an M1000, and this thing is incredible. Now, I've only had it for about a week, and I'm still getting to grips with not only the machine itself, but the whole CNC process. But I love this thing, and I'm going to be using it a heck of a lot over the next coming years. Huge thanks to StepCraft for sending me this machine. And a huge thanks to you all for watching these videos, because if no one watched these videos, well, things like this, they just wouldn't happen. And in conjunction with this CNC machine, I've gone out and bought a 3D printer, a Creality User 3D2.
I might go to my tablet in a minute.
Pretty much non-stop since I got it. I've been printing all sorts of things, including things for this CNC router. I printed this drag link chain here. I didn't design this myself. This was designed by Mariah Kornberger, and I downloaded it off Thingiverse. And I have been dabbling in Fusion 360 3D modeling. Heck of a learning curve to that program. I have modeled myself and printed this dust shoe adapter and another adapter down to my dust collector here.